Hello everybody, you are watching Magic the Gathering Arena. I'm your host Travis. Welcome to Tpull's Corner, and welcome to the Creature Mill, which is the name of this deck. We have a number of cards that mill the opponent, but mostly we're concerned with milling us so we can get to some big cards and bring them back. So we have a larger deck than we usually play with. I usually try and stick close to 60 to 64 cards. This one has 102 with 50 creatures and 36 lands. Okay, so we'll go on through the deck. We've got a number of flyers. The Eye Collector, when he deals combat damage, each player mills a card. We made the deck larger than normal so we wouldn't be afraid of milling ourselves, even if we did come up against a mill deck. We probably will need help with maintaining life, so 3 copies of Erebos' Intervention gets rid of, especially the smaller cards early on if we have just enough mana to get rid of them. But also if there's any cards that have escape, on the opponent's part, we can exile their graveyard. 2 copies of Corpse Churn, where we mill 3 cards from our library, then return a creature card from our graveyard to our hand. We prefer not to use these in the very beginning. There's too much a risk of getting rid of land when we need it and stuff like that. We'd prefer to see a big creature already in the graveyard, or at least a creature that we can afford to cast. 4 copies of Myra's Triton. There's 2/1 chump blockers with Death Touch, but they mill 2 cards and we gain 2 life. 4 copies of Devourer of Memory. Starts as a 2/1 creature. As soon as you put a card from your graveyard into your library, so whether we're milling from Eye Collector, or milling from Myra Triton, or milling from Corpse Churn, we're going to pump this guy up +1/+1, and it can't be blocked. Also, if we don't play any of these other cards to mill, we could just pay 3 mana and mill 1 card right away and pump him up. And the key is that he's going to be unblockable, and if we get him on early enough in the board and we can afford to make him unblockable each turn, that can be a game winner. Drown in the Lock. We only have 1 copy of this because it can be problematic sometimes if we can't get our opponent's graveyard to fill up enough, but we can counter target spell, or we can destroy target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. So if he puts down a 5/5 creature for 5 mana, he better have 5 cards in his graveyard, or this can't counter the spell and it can't destroy the creature. 4 copies of Soaring Thought Thief. We do have a number of rogues in the deck. Can bring him in for flash, so we can bring him in on our opponent's turn, but he's got flying as well. We've got a lot of flyers in the deck. And whenever 1 or more rogues you control attack, each opponent mills 2 cards, so that's the way we can mill them. We've got Midnight Clock, mostly just in case we come up against a mill deck. We'd hope we draw this as opposed to have them mill it away. 1 copy Didn't Say Please, counter spell, it mills their 3 cards. 2 copies of Coma's Faithful with lifelink, which we'll probably need. When Coma's Faithful dies, each player mills 3 cards, so that's another way we can mill them as well as ourselves. Namana Sky Dancer, another flyer for 3, also with flash, important to keep in mind, so we could use it as a surprise card maybe. When the Sky Dancer enters the battlefield, target opponent mills 2 cards. We're not looking to mill them out so much as just disrupt them, maybe give them land troubles, or get rid of a couple of cards that would have been a pain for us that no longer would be in the graveyard. 4 copies of Shadow Stinger. When we tap another untapped rogue we control, the Shadow Stinger gets Death Touch until the end of the turn. If we manage to attack with Shadow Stinger, whenever they deal damage to a combat player, that player mills 3 cards. 2 copies of Nighthawk Scavenger. You get another flyer. This one has Death Touch and Lifelink. The more different types of cards that they get in their graveyard, the more powerful this card gets. 1 copy of King Narfi's Betrayal. Each player mills 4 cards, then you get to exile a creature or planeswalker card from each graveyard, so you get a chance, maybe if you have enough mana, to get at one of your creatures as well as one of theirs. For the next 2 turns, you can cast any of those spells from those 2 that you exiled with King Narfi's Betrayal, and you can spend the mana or any color. So if you're facing a all green deck, it doesn't matter if you get a green creature, it becomes colorless cost to you if it's in exile. 3 copies of Obsessive Stitcher. Sometimes just good to have a 0/3 chump blocker when you're dealing against a bunch of Scoot Swarms or whatever. You can draw a card and discard one with her, or you can sacrifice her and return a target creature card from your graveyard straight to the battlefield, which is a nice cheap way to spend 4 mana maybe to get an 8 mana card out. 1 copy of Heraldic Banner. Give our creatures a +1 for their strength. And if we have any trouble with our blue or black mana, that'll help us give us the right, fix our mana basically. one extra land there if we need it, but we can also use them to return from the graveyard to the battlefield any number of creature cards that have different mana value X or less. So you do need usually a lot of mana in play to make this one work, otherwise you're just dropping it as land. 4 copies of Carrion Grub. This is an insect, but he gets plus X. You notice he comes in as a 0/5, right? So he gets added where X is the greatest power among creature cards in your graveyard. When he enters the battlefield, you mill 4 cards. So again, you don't really want to use this at the very beginning of the hand if you can help it. Maybe save him until you already know you got something big in the graveyard. But if we've already got our Void Beckoner in the graveyard, no matter what we mill, he's going to be an 8/5 creature. 1 copy of Covetous Urge to steal something from their hand. 1 Clackbridge Troll. He's 8/8 with Trample and Haste. We get give the enemy 3 of these token goat creatures. They can sacrifice it. If they do sacrifice it, then they actually tap our troll. But if they choose to tap our troll, we gain 3 life and draw a card. Sir Conrad the Grim is 5/4 legendary creature. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature is put into the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield. So that means if we mill our deck, or we mill our opponent and a creature goes into the graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals the damage to each opponent. If we're not milling our opponent and we're not milling ourselves, then we can have Sir Conrad make both players mill a card, and maybe try and see if we can deal damage to him that way. 1 copy of Ashiok, Nightmare Muse. They can create these 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature tokens whenever it attacks or blocks. The opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library, so we like that. 3 copies of Zerasan the Trickster, because we do have so many rogues in here, right? Let's see, we got fairies, we got zombie merfolks, we got nightmares, we got 4 flying soaring thought thieves, so that could be working out for us there. The Namana Sky Dancer is also a rogue, so that's 8, and Shadow Stinger is a rogue, so that gives us 12, and then the Nighthawk Scavenger makes 14. And I think that's all the rogues we have in the deck, but 14 should be enough that if we have a Zerath come up, we could return the unblocked attacking, probably flying rogue to our hand, and we get to put Zerasan in play. He's tapped and attacking. He's basically dealing combat damage unblocked. Then we get to raid his graveyard for a permanent card. Could be an enchantment, could be a good creature. We get to put them right into the battlefield under our control. Okay, now we're starting to get into some expensive cards. So this is normally, I don't have this many expensive cards in my hand, or in my deck, I should say. But since we're milling so many, we should have enough of a sampling that we can throw some good stuff into the graveyard and have a chance to get it back. Starting with Shivering Harvester, mutate. When you mutate him over another creature, the opponent sacrifices a creature. Liliana Deathmage, where we can return 1 creature card from our graveyard to our hand. That could be handy. Lockmere Serpent, we can exile 5 cards from our opponent's graveyard to return this one to our hand. Into the Story, where we can draw some cards. 3 copies of Spined Megalodon, who's a nice little 5/7 hexproof. Whenever we attack with him, we get to scry 1. Waker of Waves. All our opponents get -1 to their power when he's on the battlefield. Or we can just discard him, right? We discard the card for 2 mana. We look at the top 2 cards of our library. We get to put 1 into our hand and the other into our graveyard. So you see the common theme that if we're not milling ourselves, we're still finding ways to stick cards into our graveyard and find ways to stick cards into our hand or back onto the battlefield. 1 copy of Windreader Sphinx, since we have so many flyers. Here's a 3/7 flyer. Whenever a creature with flying attacks, we can draw a card. As usual with my blue decks, I usually find room to put 1 copy of Seagate Restoration in so that we can draw a bunch of cards if we need to later. 1 copy of Demon of Loathing, keeping with the flying theme. 7/7 Flying Trampler. Whenever he does combat damage to a player, that player sacrifices a creature. Gloomsour, 8/6 creature for 7 mana. Whenever he's blocked by a creature, that creature's controller loses 2 life and I gain 2 life. The Reaper of Night. This is an adventure card, so you can spend 4 for Harvest Fear. It's a sorcery. Target opponent discards 2 cards. If you spend 7 to bring him down, he's a 4/5 creature, but whenever he attacks, if the defending player has 2 or fewer cards in hand, it gains flying until end of the turn. So I'm not sure if that's a normal card that you would want to play, because getting a 4/5, even assuming that you manage to make the opponent discard some cards and you're getting into the mid game of the deck, and maybe you could give him flying. But spending 7 for a 4/5, not sure if it's completely worth it. But if we can get him out for cheaper than 7, then suddenly it becomes worth it. Okay, and finally 2 copies of Void Beckoner, the most expensive card in our deck for 8 mana. 8/8 creature with Death Touch. If we cycle him, which is another way to put him into our graveyard, we can put a Death Touch counter on a creature that's already on the battlefield. The rest is the lands. That's the 102 card deck. We're going to take it out for a spin. Hope you like it. If you do, hit the like button, hit subscribe, share the video link with a friend, bring more eyeballs to us. We could use more company here at Tpull's Corner. Thanks. Here we go. Alright, it's time to mill some creatures. Mostly mine. We're up against a Brain in a Jar. Kind of like that. Alright, this lets us put out Devour of Memory now. Druid class. Okay, so they can put out... Oh, not yet. They got to pump it up to put additional land, so they just get the extra life when the land comes out. Alright, what do we want to do? What about... Let's mill you for 2 cards. Oh, good. I love getting rid of the Scoot Swarm. Okay, so we could put down Coma's Faithful, or we could save for a counterspell. Let's go ahead and put this down as a possible blocker. But if the land comes down, he gets to be a 5/5. Yep, we got the land. And he gets the life from it. Disgusting. He's afraid of the flyers, so he gets rid of that. So it's a good thing we attacked with her, because he would have been able to do all this anyway. That's kind of depressing that he gets a creature down and a token and manages to take out our creature and managed to attack for 6 with an indestructible creature, all for 4 mana. Gross. Alright, let's get rid of you. Now, I guess. And no attacks. Maybe we should have gotten rid of the Scoot Swarm. We'll let the token through. Okay, what do we want to do? I think we just want to be able to counter anything they try next. Do we? Yeah. Gets rid of a land, more ramp, and one of the Blizzard Brawls. That was worthwhile. They've still got plenty of mana. Okay. Flyer comes out. Second flyer comes out. Land in a ramp. We start with the scoots and the life gain from all the land. Really? Let's see here. Wants to devour an obsessive stitcher. Okay. Let's get some defense going. And swoop over. Keep our life totals comparatively the same. If he pumps up the druid class now, the forest is going to be tapped. Unless, well, he could use the caryatid. Do we want to block that with the scavenger? Probably not. Besides the blizzard brawls, they haven't shown us much they can do against flyers just yet. Might give us a nice advantage just to hold on to him as long as we could. Oh, did I mention he didn't have much defense against reach? Look at that. Why would you do that? You're basically tapped out. And I have lifelink. That's weird to me. Whatever. Okay, let's mill 3 cards. Return a creature back. Let's see. Do you want to bring back the Stitcher? Decisions. Let's go ahead and bring back another flyer. And you're unblockable, right? So we'll choose you. And that's it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need one more before I can start using the Port of Carfell. No sign of my bigger creatures yet, which is what I really want. Two of them? I had to open my big mouth about the, Okay, so let's do this. Let's get rid of one turn. And I get most of it back in life gain. Let's mill a card. Next, hit you, because you can't block me. He can't really afford to attack with both of the Stone Coil Serpents. I'm just hoping he doesn't have another Blizzard Brawl up his sleeve. Primal Might. He gets to fight him. It's okay, I have Death Touch, right? That works in the fight. So I get the life gain. He doesn't get any life gain. But he did remove my boy. So let's do this and see if it works. Nice little surprise I had waiting for you. Get rid of your 6/6. I still got my flyer and my unblockable. got rid of a ram through. I like it when that happens. He hasn't been able to really maximize use of his scoot swarms yet. Well, at least he doesn't have reach. Okay, we'll bring you down. Activate a card. Oh, I lost my Clackbridge Troll. Go in for the attack. Ranger class, good. Alright, if he doesn't have removal, we should be able to kill him no matter what he does. Because he's just not going to be able to block the Devourers. Okay. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He'd have just enough. And he has trample. But your tree does not. Pass. Block. Barely under the wire. We get to go first. We're not used to that. Okay, because I had Eye Collector, I saved Temple of Deceit. Usually you play your tapped cards first, and you like to scry. This way, let's see how he does. He's got haste too, doesn't he? Nope, not yet. That's when he comes blocked. Okay, so we want to see what our next card is. Port of Carfell. We don't want to lose Port of Carfell. It's risky, but we're going to take the risk. For a Goblin deck, if he's only going to have a 1/1 out for a while. That's cool. Alright. Let's go ahead and hit him. He lost a Mire Triton, he lost a land. Let's go ahead and get rid of this guy. Gloomsour. Good. That's kind of what we want. I guess we'll keep the Eye Collector as a blocker from now on. Gross. They didn't attack. Interesting choice. Clackbridge Troll it is. Sometimes Clackbridge Troll has an effect on people. Just the mere appearance of him shocks people into paralysis. We can't be mad when they start to rope when we see him. Sometimes there's just that feeling of dread and desperation that there's nothing that you can do. But you know, they could attack with all those goats and use the bombardment enchantment in their favor. So it's not like he's not getting anything out of the deal. Do I want to attack? No. No, I don't. Killed my creature. That hurts. Okay, but we have... Shall we? Yeah, we shall. Okay, it could be risky for us to do this, but I kind of feel like we need to keep the pressure on. I'm going to wait on that. If I can, I'll get more life out of it. Kind of depends on if he removes Scavenger or not. If he removes Scavenger, I've got to use this for sure. Okay, other goblins got +1/+1. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. I should be just alive enough. I can't say that doesn't hurt. But I get 5 life back. And that's all I need. Because now, I also get 5 more life back. Okay, now, do you want to tap them? Because I kind of think you have to. Yeah, I thought so. Keep up the pressure. Look at that, back up to 20. This is usually when they scoop. It's like I knew! That is not the ideal way to start. Beloved princess. I can block you with that for right now. Let's do it this way. Okay, get rid of a land and mortality spear. No attacks. Now we attack. Interesting. We're gonna, oops, hang on. We're gonna block with this one. And we're gonna tap this guy to give him Death Touch. In the meantime, we're gonna bring out our other guy so we have somebody else to tap for Shadow Stinger. And we'll just fly on over and equalize our life. Do I really have to? Do I really have to? I have to sacrifice one? Let's sacrifice the Stitcher. They keep finding more and more ways to get life. How do we stop that? Alright, carrying grub it is. Only 2? Ugh. That didn't work out so well. Just does not mind doing that all the time, huh? Okay, we'll do the same thing. Yeah, tap him, give Death Touch, but we lost our Death Toucher. Getting lots of swamps, so if we spend, let's see, we've got 3, if we spend 3 mana, can get some stuff back. Shall we try it? Yeah, I know it's my go. Thanks for letting me know that, buddy. You're so helpful and friendly. 1, 2, 3. Well, can we get those 3? We'll get those 3. Ta-da! Yeah, lost your teleportation circle. Doo-dah, doo-dah. I feel strangely happy with the way this is turning out. A carrying grub. How do we want to do this? I can wait and let him find out that it's my turn again. I can cycle him anytime, right? That also increases the carry grub's power. All that time telling me it was my turn just to quit on the very next turn? Well, I can't say that we'll miss you. That looks like a nice collection of starting lands from which we can try something at least. For anybody who's wondering if the deck is competitive, no, it is not. I mostly wanted to just take a survey of the cards that I had. Yeah, we'll go ahead and attack once. Ugh, the worst possible thing. Ashok, that's the one thing I wanted to keep. It looks like we're up against a mill deck. Let's see if they want to trade. They do not. Lost my Demon of Loathing, but we might be able to bring that back. I don't think I have anything to bring back a Planeswalker. Lost another Soaring Thought Thief, that's good. But now they have a 1/3 flyer. And I do not. Let's see. What do we want to do? Creatures. I guess we'll take black creatures. But we can't attack with it. Not right now. Alright, let's do Narfi's Betrayal. And what can we get? How about Cradle of Baldur's Gate? And what's in mine? Let's get Carrying Grub. In the meantime, Yep, keep milling. Don't terribly mind it that much. Okay, let's see. We'll take Carrying Grub first. Excellent. He gets power plus the 1 from Heraldic Banner. Because remember, we've already got... Where is he? Gloomsar, who's power 8. He was already there, so Carrying Grub gets 8 plus the 1 here. Still going to attack with the Thought Thief. I like that. He's got 5 mana. Try and cast this. That works. What else do we want to do? We want to get rid of the Thieves Guild Enforcer. We want to get rid of it now. Target a creature? I don't have the ability to pay for 2. It's a mid-0. Okay, loses 1 life and mills a card. I gain a life and scry 1. The dude can't be blocked. He's got enough to make me get rid of half the cards in my deck, and he threw that one away. That's unusual. See if this gets through. What card you holding on to? Counter spell. Alright. Let's attack with you. And you. I don't have mana for it, but that's fine. $54 cards left. Ooh, you have menace. Let's make this guy unblockable. Shall we? Alright, then we can bring this lovely lady down, and we can get rid of some of these things. Just in case he had any way of bringing back spells. Most of the creatures. He's playing my cards. Too bad I don't have any removal, except for the planeswalkers, and those are both in the graveyard. Alright. Oh, you didn't want to hang around for anything. Alright, that's a wrap. Creature Mill. Basically, I just took a survey of the different cards I had in my possession where we could mill our own selves. And turns out you got a few. You know, Eye Collector, Corpse Churn, Mire Triton, Coma's Faithful. There's a couple of things in here. And the one thing I didn't manage to do that much was get Obsessive Stitcher out and use her to bring somebody back. I was going to maybe do that the last turn there against the mill deck. So you can see that we do pretty good against mill decks. They can't quite get rid of us before we can do something with what we have. We do have a lot of weaknesses because I don't have a lot in the way of removal. Right, I've got, let's see. I've got the 3 Erebos' Intervention. I do have, where is she? Where's my Planeswalkers? There, okay, there's Ashiok. And we can return the non-land permanent to the owner's hand, and they have to exile it. That's good if they only have 1 card in their hand. And we've got the ability to destroy a target creature with Liliana. But, you know, that we have to wait a while before we get to. Maybe we can use the Chittering Harvester to make a sacrifice opponent. But a lot of what we're really relying on is Death Touch, the surprise of flashing in the different creatures we have to block and kill. And sometimes that's not possible if they're too large at creatures. But the other trick we had was cycling the Void Beckoner so we could put Death Touch on a blocker and get rid of somebody big. The Wind Reader Sphinx didn't come out for the entire series of battles tonight, and we didn't see Waker of Waves either. We didn't really get much chance to use Into the Story, so it's kind of interesting how a lot of these cards just didn't even make an appearance. But you know, so it's not competitive. There's not a whole lot of removal. The quick mono red goblin decks should make pretty quick work of us most of the time. So it's not competitive. We probably lose more than we win. But you know, when the deck is clicking, when we get a chance to use the way that the synergies are between the mill and the resurrection type stuff, it's a fun thing to play. So if you want to have fun, you know, take this concept, take it for a spin. In the meantime, like and subscribe, share the videos, come back, because we're going to have more. There's always more around the corner at Tpull's Corner. Have a good one.